These are the South Dakota Badlands. To an architect like Luke, this landscape is a masterclass in geometry. Centuries of water and wind have left behind distinct, predictable layers of sediment. Luke's world is built on these types of clear divisions. He operates with a mindset where every problem has a structural solution, and every day is governed by blueprints, foundations, and mathematical measurements. Even the forests of the Black Hills seem to follow a plan. The meadows are expansive but quiet, and the pines grow in thick, orderly columns. It is a majestic environment, but one that rewards those who stay within the lines. This reliance on logic provides a rare stability. The structures are sound, and the calculations are correct. But living entirely within a framework of right angles leaves very little room for the heat of the unpredictable. 1,200 miles to the southwest, the Earth offers no such order. The Mojave Desert is a landscape of extremes, rugged, sun-baked, and entirely indifferent to straight lines. This is where Mia lives. She doesn't draft, she reacts. Her work as an artist is governed by the immediate sensory feeling of the desert: vibrant color, sudden impulse, and the fluid motion of light across the sand. When Luke commits to driving his vintage van out west, he isn't just changing his zip code. He is bringing his highly calibrated, mechanical life into a space that has no use for a ruler. Both are masters of their own environments, yet their reliance on these opposing ways of seeing the world has left them isolated. They are survivalists in two different climates, neither realizing they are missing half the map. Luke's sky blue van sputters to a stop in the middle of the Mojave, dwarfed by towering boulders painted in neon pinks and oranges. It's the first time his orderly world has had to contend with something this loud. These represent their competing frameworks. On one side, we have a rigid blue square defined by calculation and structure. On the other, a chaotic red splatter defined by emotion and movement. When Luke tries to apply his architectural tools here, the logic fails to catch. You cannot use a geometric compass to measure the impact of a color, and his frustration grows as his tools return zero data on the beauty of the landscape. Mia sees his struggle as a lack of imagination. To her, the desert isn't a series of measurements. It's a record of wind and time, a foundation built on the very idea of change. They are speaking two different languages. If Luke insists on a blueprint and Mia insists on a feeling, the landscape between them remains a void. They begin to travel together, moving through the open road of Nevada. The friction of the first few days gives way to a quiet, mutual observation as they watch the landscape shift outside the van windows. Watch what happens when the paint actually seeps into the paper of a blueprint. The precise, calculated lines are still there, but they've been permanently altered by the movement of the pigment. Luke starts to see that Mia's perspective isn't a lack of order, it's a different kind of data. Mia, in turn, watches how he maintains the van. She sees that his reliance on structure isn't just about control, it's a form of care. He creates the safety that allows her to be reckless. Understanding begins when you stop trying to correct the other person's view. It requires the risk of looking through a lens that feels completely alien to your own. At Red Rock Canyon, the van finally gives up. They are stranded as the golden light turns the cliffs into walls of fire, and for the first time, Luke has no mechanical fix for the situation. His logical framework is quiet. The tools in his kit can't restart the engine, and they certainly can't account for the scale of the silence around them. Luke opens his sketchbook, but he doesn't draw a building. He sketches Mia, her paint-stained hands, and the way she looks at the horizon. He stops trying to calculate the distance and starts trying to record the experience. This breakdown of logic isn't a dead end. It's the necessary silence required for a different kind of connection to begin. Under the Nevada night sky, the conflict between the square and the splatter fades. The desert air is cool, the stars are clear, and the need to be right is replaced by a shared vision. They find their anchor point here, in the Valley of Fire. These sandstone formations are the perfect middle ground, stone that has been taught to flow by the wind. The result is a cabin that looks like both of them. One side uses rigid, precise timber framing to hold the weight of the roof. The other morphs into organic, brightly painted walls that mimic the curves of the surrounding rock. It is a structure that finally breathes. It proves that lasting work doesn't come from one perspective winning. It comes from the difficult, necessary evolution of giving chaos a foundation and giving structure a pulse.